going to kick off episode 81 of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear with the song Go With The Swell. Go With The Swell appears on the album Surf Music for Non-Swimmers by the band Agent Flipper. You can find them at agentflipper.bandcamp.com or agentflipper.com, or just look up Agent Flipper on YouTube. However you check them out, let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name is Derek M. Cook, the writer, host, and producer of this show. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to another double feature episode with my friend Matt Rashley. Matt and I met years ago back in film school, and if you had told me back then that I would consider this guy who sat in a room of new students and told us his filmmaking influences were people like Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Robert Zemeckis, Jim Henson, and I can never remember the fifth, but there were 5 people listed when he was telling us this. If you had told me back then that this guy would become one of my dearest friends and would actually have some excellent ideas for a podcast, I would probably look at you and say, what's a podcast? And then I would be just pleased, because Matt is just one of my dearest friends, and I'm so excited to have him back on the show to talk about a double feature. A couple of movies that were released together that, at the surface level, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Earth versus the Flying Saucer and 1956's The Werewolf. Sure, they're both directed by the same guy, and we're going to talk about that. But thematically, one's a science fiction movie, one's a monster movie. One's got Harryhausen effects, one's got a guy in makeup. I don't know how they mesh, or at least I didn't, until I sat down and watched these two movies back to back this morning over way too much coffee. I'm not saying that you need a lot of coffee to see the connection. I was up early and I needed a lot of coffee. And I enjoyed these two movies back to back and had a grand time watching them, and had even more fun discussing them with Matt here on the show. So you're going to get that this week here on the podcast. Also, Mark Matsky's Beta Capsule review, still working our way through Ultraman Taro, and it's another fun episode with Mark, another fun episode of Ultraman, period. Mark, remind me, if I don't reach out to you, man, we got to figure out a time to get together online and talk about Ultraman 80 for Kai-July coming up, well, in a couple of episodes. It's Kai-July coming up. But before we get to that, we've got The Werewolf and we've got Earth versus the Flying Saucers coming up right after this.
Are changing to brilliant colors, making the hills of western Pennsylvania a stunning patchwork of autumn. And it will be time for the Monster Bash Expo and Convention at the Marriott Pittsburgh North. The Monster Bash is October 16th through the 18th, 2026. Movies, vendors, entertainment, special events, giveaways, and the real-life Monster Kids. Guests of honor, Victoria Price, daughter of Vincent Price, Lynn Lugosi, granddaughter of Bela Lugosi, Renee Browning, daughter of Rico Browning, who played the creature from the Black Lagoon, and Michael Glenn Nix, grandson of Glenn Strange, who played the Frankenstein monster in 3 classic films. Monster Bash is the gathering place for classic monster movie fans from across the nation. Don't miss it. This fall's Monster Bash, Friday through Sunday, October 16th through the 18th, 2026, at the Pittsburgh Marriott North. Meet hundreds of fans just like you. Get your discounted membership registration now online at monsterbash.us or get your pass at the door. Monster Bash, a graveyard smash. monsterbash.us.
We love the Monster Bash! Woo!
Spider, spider, do your duty. Catch a girl and trap a beauty. The Candy Web. Entangling the students of an exclusive school for girls in a network of terrifying and suspenseful adventures.
forever.
What starts as a playful flirtation suddenly takes a sinister turn. Trapped in a house of mystery, caught in a web of deadly menace.
Candy, this is not a game you've been playing. This is for real, and there's no place to hide.
Innocence stands face to face with terror.
If you don't tell me, I shall have to call someone here to make you.
Spider!
You know about him? That's impossible.
She sees too much. She knows too much. The spider receives his orders.
She must be killed immediately.
From the vivid imagination of that master storyteller of the macabre, Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Alice!
comes Twice Told Tales, a trio of terrifying experiences, brilliantly portrayed by that personification of all evil on the screen, Vincent Price. In this tomb, you will live a pulse-quickening adventure as two friends dabble in the black arts, and a secret buried in two unfaithful lovers.
You died, Sylvia. Been dead for 38 years.
In this garden of evil unfolds the diabolic delineation of the most fantastic horror conceived by a distorted mind.
Since my father made me what I am, he used its poisons to change the chemistry of my blood. Watch that poor creature die. You would die if you touched me.
In this house of seven gables, filled with the brooding mystery of an ancient curse, its very walls creaking with evil, a chilling tale of vengeance casts a spell of horror beyond belief.
That was his blood. The Pynchons are cursed. Every male member of the family has died the same way.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Taro, Episode 39, The Ultraman Father and Son's Grand Moki-Making Plan. Original air date December 28, 1973. New Year's Day is quickly approaching, and Kotaro and Nambara are on patrol discussing the holidays. They come upon a group of people pounding flavored rice cakes called moki, and seeing a group of orphan children, the ZAT members resolve to pound Moki for them. Suddenly, Kaiju Mokiran appears and begins devouring all the Moki it can find. ZAT launches a counterattack, but the monster evades them by rolling away, since it's shaped like a wooden Moki pot. That night, Kotaro hears music outside and witnesses a piano descending from the moon. At the keyboard is Minami, one half of Ultraman Ace, and she summons Kotaro to discuss Mokiran's origin. Together, they hatch a plan to subdue the hungry kaiju, but things don't quite work out until Father of Ultra arrives to lay down the law. Episode 39 is an entertaining, light-hearted fairy tale, punctuated by the crowd-pleasing appearance of Yuko Minami, Guardian of the Moon, played by the radiant Mitsuko Hoshi. The story is an extension of Japanese folklore and New Year tradition, with the addition of the ever-expanding Ultraman pantheon of heroes. As Kamishibai-style drawings shown in the episode illustrate, it's not the man in the moon seen in Japan's night sky, it's a rabbit in the moon, specifically a rabbit pounding Moki with a mortar and pestle. The image stands as a memorial of a rabbit's compassionate, sacrificial action, a valued ideal to express at the beginning of any new year. It's fitting then that Kaiju Mokiran receives mercy at the hands of Taro, Minami, and Father of Ultra, a hopeful gesture at the turning of the year. For Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matsky reporting.
I say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic. But I tell you, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. Then, guided by instinct, the beast would come back to the caverns of the deepest Atlantic where it was spawned. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. Populations crazed and panicked with fear by its destructive force. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Herald Square, 34th Street. Broadway. Every section of the city is guarded. No one knows where the monster will strike next.
Another one, Colonel?
No.
You know what the radioactive isotope is?
No, but if it can be loaded, I can fire it.
I'll load it. Just remember one thing. This is the only isotope of its kind this side of Oak Ridge, so you can't miss.
Castle of Evil, bringing an entirely new dimension of horror to the screen. Castle of Evil, starring Virginia Mayo, Scott Brady, Hugh Marlowe, David Bryan. attention, please. The producers of this motion picture have purchased an insurance policy from a major North American insurance company which guarantees a complete funeral, including casket, absolutely free to anyone in the audience who dies of fright during the showing of Castle of Evil.
You have been warned. Your coffin has been reserved. Enter the Castle of Evil at your peril.
This is Count Dracula, and I'm here to offer you a friendly warning. Derek and his guests often get excited, and occasionally this results in revealing key plot points of the movies they're discussing. You know how the children of the night, monster kids, can get sometimes. So consider yourself warned. And don't come begging to me to kill them for their transgressions afterward. I have more pressing issues to take care of, like that pesky Van Helsing.
Flying saucers attack! There's a werewolf on the loose. And there's a couple of film school dropouts that are going to talk about these two movies this week on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. Matt Rashley is back. We're going to tackle a double feature. How are you, sir?
Oh, good. We're on good ground here with these two movies. I'm excited to talk about them.
I can't tell if there's sarcasm there or not.
Before you scoff at flying saucers, see the greatest shock film of all time. Sums it up perfectly. Both pictures.
I actually really enjoyed myself watching these two. And this is another one of those double feature type episodes. I had no idea. Maybe I did at one point, but I did not remember that Earth versus the Flying Saucers and 1956's The Werewolf were released as a double feature.
Yeah, that was total news to me because I love Earth versus the Flying Saucers. I've seen it probably, half a dozen times, being a real Harryhausen fan. But I never really knew about The Werewolf. I'd seen the poster, never seen the movie. And as I was doing more research into Earth versus the Flying Saucers, because it's the 70th anniversary of its release, I saw that it went into wide distribution as a double feature, as the A picture and the B picture being The Werewolf. Then I was surprised to see that they were both directed by Fred F. Sears.
Now, I don't know much about Fred F. Sears. I know we talked briefly in a Facebook back and forth about the man. Not a lot out there that I could find easily. Were you able to dig up anything else about the man?
Yeah, Joe Dante's a huge fan of his, thinks that he deserves more attention and credit. And after doing some research, I agree. The guy was prolific. He directed, I think, he has 54 directing credits, and he only lived to be 44. So do the math. He was a guy who started out as an actor doing regional theater. He was from back east. Came out to Hollywood. His first job was being a dialogue director, working with actors, going over scripts. And he had a really good reputation of being liked by actors. Started directing some short serials, westerns, and he got a lot of attention for making movies under budget and under schedule. So that plugged right into low budget genre films really, really quickly. In fact, 1956, the year that these two movies came out, he ended up directing 9 feature films that year.
That's a busy, busy guy.
Yeah. In fact, one thing that's neat is that he doesn't get credit for it, but in The Werewolf, the narration that you hear, that's his voice. You actually hear the director bringing us into that world.
I was surprised to learn that too, when I heard that or learned that. Well, he's had a decent voice. I mean, he's still Paul Frees.
He is no Paul Frees. No, and Paul Frees' voice is all over Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
I forgot how much animation he did. He was a real voice actor, did a lot of Rankin Bass. He's great.
Paul Frees is the man. He's done so much, did a lot of Disney work, obviously, did a lot of other animation as well, and did a number of movies like this. You actually can see him on screen as well as a full-on actor, not just a voice actor in some of these types of movies. I'm trying to remember the one that I was surprised to see him in front of the camera. It'll come to me while we're talking here. But yeah, he appeared in front of the camera as well for some of the stuff, which is awesome. He's a comforting presence. And that's actually something that I really liked about both of these movies. Because as I'm watching this thing, I can't help but try to find a reason why these were released as a double feature. Because thematically on the surface, one's a monster movie, one's a science fiction alien invasion movie, one's Harryhausen, one is not, one's a creature feature, one's not really. What's the connection? Where's the connective tissue other than the director? I'm trying to find it. And they both start with narration. So, okay, all right, I can kind of see this. We're starting down this path of, they open the same way at least, right?
Yeah, those are definitely connections. They both were Columbia Pictures releases. They both had Sam Katzman producing them, and he produced a ton of low-budget movies. He had a really good working relationship with Fred F. Sears, and that's probably why so many of them have so many screen credits.
Yeah, for sure. And thematically, I started seeing a few other things too. As we talk about the movies, I'll bring that up. But I was trying real hard, desperately, to find the connection between the two, because I'm trying to imagine whenever we talk about these double feature movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
What it would be like to go to the drive-in or the dollar, maybe not dollar back then, but whatever, theater, and spending 3 hours or so, 4 hours watching these films. What would that experience be like? If I'm in the mood for a science fiction movie, it's very different than being in the mood for a creature feature. So with a monster, with a werewolf. So I'm trying to find or determine what it would be like for me if I saw these together, especially if I saw them in the order in which they appeared to be presented. With versus Flying Saucers being first.
How awesome would that have been to be in a drive-in for these two movies?
Oh,
because you said they're different, but man, they're so much fun and they're so great. Way better than I figured either film to be. I mean, I think everybody knows Earth versus the Flying Saucers. It's iconic. It's inspired so many things that came after it. But The Werewolf was new to me, and there was a lot of good stuff there.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's got that Harryhausen rub, right? It's got Harryhausen. And so I think as a monster kid even, we're more intimately aware of the Harryhausen filmography than, say, Sam Katzman or Sears or any of the people that worked on Werewolf or whatever. It's Harryhausen. You can't help but know Harryhausen. I'm sorry, know this film if you know Harryhausen. Even though Harryhausen apparently didn't like this one as much as some of his others, and I can see why. It's very kind of different than most other Harryhausen films I've seen, in that there's not a creature. It's just flying saucers, man.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of the reason that was his opinion. I guess he also was really frustrated with animating the destruction of buildings because it's so work intensive, and the fact that he had to, with strings and wire, prop stuff up to be able to animate the destruction of Washington, D.C., which he found to be technically difficult and not all that rewarding. Unlike the saucers or the creatures in so many of his films, the UFOs, they're characters unto themselves. The way that he animates them, he breathes life into them, and the way that they fly around and invade the earth, it's really amazing.
They look really cool. I think, yeah, you could have gotten away with models. You could have done miniature work. You could have done something optically. But I think by having that Harryhausen rub, that touch, it makes it special. And they look so cool. So cool. I kind of wish he did more of this kind of animation as well.
Right. Can you imagine how so many movies that really aren't remembered would be put on a different level if they had been done by Ray Harryhausen?
Oh.
Because a lot of Earth versus the Flying Saucer, some of the criticisms against it have been, some people could see the acting as being wooden or two-dimensional, but the fact that it's all elevated by Harryhausen's work.
Yeah.
If they were just models, this movie probably wouldn't stand out and withstand the test of time, I think. We were talking about Fred F. Sears. One thing that's really fascinating is that the two movies that he's most well known for, Earth versus the Flying Saucer, which is probably his best film. It's considered his best.
Oh, okay. I think I know where you're going.
And his worst, his worst is The Giant Claw. Both movies not defined by his direction, but by the special effects. Earth versus the Flying Saucers, elevated through the stratosphere by the great work of Ray Harryhausen. But his worst film, another genre picture, a couple years after this, The Giant Claw.
Okay, I'm going to let you finish your point, but go ahead.
The Giant Claw, where Sam Katzman decides to go as cheap as possible on the special effects, hires a crew out of Mexico to do the marionette flying monster turkey that we all love and enjoy for how ridiculous it is. I just found it really interesting that his career is defined by these two pictures, which if you remove the special effects or had Harryhausen do the effects for The Giant Claw, it would be held in higher regard. But it all came down to some special effects defining the movies that Fred F. Sears is notoriously known for. I just found it interesting.
I like The Giant Claw, dag nabbit. I like The Giant Claw. I know it's a silly looking marionette, but I like it, man. And I got Jeff Morrow. It's got Mara Corday from Tarantula.
Yeah.
Jeff Morrow from The Creature Walks Among Us, which also has a cast member from appearing in The Werewolf. We'll talk about that. It's I dig it, man.
Yeah. No, it's special. It stands out.
Oh, it's special. That's a nice way to put it.
But these two movies really aren't all that different when it comes to, being actors. It's the effects that are where the movies diverge, I think.
Well, okay. I'm going to speak in defense of Earth versus the Flying Saucers when it comes to other performers.
Yeah.
I actually was quite taken with them this time around. I've seen this movie so many times, and every time I sit down to watch it, it's because of the Harryhausen stuff. I don't know if this is something that would be in my rotation. It's not something I would have watched so many times, if not for Harryhausen. But as I'm watching it this time, I really liked Hugh Marlowe a lot, and Joan Taylor. I liked the two of them together. I liked the burgeoning family unit because they just got married a couple of weeks before the movie started. The characters, that is. The characters got married, that is. Not anyway. So it's a brand new family that's starting. You've got the father, Joan's father, who's high muckety muck in the military, who approves of the wedding. And so you've got this family unit here and this thing happening. And I really liked that relationship. I like that Joan Taylor is not willing at the beginning to just play second fiddle to being the missus. She's being playful about it. But as they're driving in the car and Dr. Marvin is talking about, in his recording, about what they've been working on, she'll take the recording over and make a little jokey comment about Mrs. Dr. Marvin doing this, and this. And at the very end of the movie, it ends with him giving the compliments to her as well, explaining that he couldn't do what he's been doing without her love and support. And I really appreciated that kind of family unit, which is something that I liked about The Werewolf as well, is that you've got this guy who is being turned into a werewolf against his will, because, who really does that? And he's got his family who is so desperate to see him saved, and he wants to protect them and keep them from being victims to what's happening to him. So I really like this family connection between the two movies, but I really, really liked Dr. Marvin and Carol Marvin in Earth versus the Flying Saucers. I liked them a lot. I would go on adventures with Dr. Marvin and company if there were more to go on.
Yeah, really good points. They do have good chemistry. You buy their relationship. It's easy to invest in that. And the Werewolf, too.
It's more tragic than the Werewolf. But
there are some things about that movie. The Werewolf, to me, it's like 3/4 amazing, 1/4 frustrating. But sticking with Earth versus the Flying Saucer for the moment, yeah, the whole cast, the dynamics are great. And you mentioned her dad, played by Morris Ankrum, who's a real good character actor. He's in tons of stuff. Surprisingly, he is a graduate from USC's School of Law. He was an attorney and an economics professor before switching careers and going into the theater and becoming an actor.
Oh, wow.
And he's done all kinds of things. He's in gangster films. He's in a bunch of genre pictures, Rocket Ship XM, but he's also in A Lonely Place, which is one of the best noir pictures. He's also in The Giant Claw. He does a good job playing military men and judges. But definitely a guy. I mean, he has over 280 acting credits on IMDb. You don't see many people go from being attorneys to actors, but he did a good job of it.
He's got the look of an old school attorney or military guy. He's got that look. So yeah, I could see him getting into character acting and maybe even having a good time at it. I mean, he seemed to be willing to put up with some of the sci-fi nonsense of Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and he made it believable to me. I dug it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
Absolutely.
the cast is really strong overall, and he's just part of it. Really liked him. I there's not a cast member in this that I did not like. I think of the two, I really love this movie a lot more. Not just for the Harryhausen. Harryhausen is what brings me to the table, right?
Right.
That's the sizzle, but the steak is everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's also interesting watching this movie now, having not seen it probably in, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, and taking it into account of where it is in the 50s. It's for the UFO films of the 50s and Invaders Coming to Earth, it's definitely one of my favorites.
I would probably put it up there if I had to make a list right now, ray gun to head, to come up with a list of the best aliens coming to Earth, alien invasion type movies. This and The Day the Earth Stood Still right there at the top. Maybe even tied. Maybe even tied. Even though the message between both of them the messages of them are very different.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the reason they both stand out.
Yeah.
They're different, but they're both great.
I've often wondered how this would play as a double feature with Day the Earth Stood Still. I know back then it would not have happened because Columbia,
Yeah.
I think Day the Earth Stood Still is in Columbia. I don't remember who, it's not Universal. It's one of the other big guys, one of the other big guns. Is it Paramount? I don't remember.
It could be. Let's check.
It feels very Paramount-y.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's Robert Wise directing.
Yeah.
20th Century Fox, according to what I see online. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a great double feature. I know that we were talking about how these two movies are definitely different things, but it would have been fun to have that switch up in a double feature at a drive-in.
For sure. For sure.
This is a first-time watch for me with The Werewolf. Had you seen it before?
I'd seen it once before, just once. And I did remember parts of it, but it'd been so long. I think the last time I saw it was even before I started the podcast.
Wow.
So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I remembered very little of it. I remembered thinking, well, it's not a real werewolf, because werewolves are the superstition, the legend, the lore, the folklore. And this is a science thing. But it's also the 1950s. And the supernatural, gothic, spooky stuff isn't in vogue as much, right? It's more scientific horror, scientific monsters. So that makes sense. I ended up really enjoying it this time around. I said, my memory was like, okay, well, I'll rewatch it for the show and maybe I'll find something new to like. And I did find something new to like. I did end up really liking it a lot. I did not realize that there were 3 werewolf movies released that year, produced that year.
Huh. Wow.
This one, I was a teenage werewolf, and I forget the other one off the top of my head. But it was nice to see that in the 50s and 50s, we still got some werewolf action coming out of Hollywood. So,
yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there were 3 in 1 year. I don't really think of the mid 50s as being prime werewolf time.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
The only thing that I normally think of before prepping for this episode would be I was a teenage werewolf. And I've got a very soft spot in my heart for that one.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. I mean, I think it's one of those movies, I still have very distinct memories of that Halloween day in film school where while I was putting makeup on my face, we did nothing but watch monster movies in my dorm room. And this was on the list. Or not this one, but Teenage Werewolf was on the list.
Yeah.
I remember watching that.
That was a great day.
That was a really fun day. And I remember a conversation that we had about what we would do if we remade that movie then. And we talked about Anna Klumsky being in the lead role at the time, which would have been interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, I do. I've never let it go, man. Yeah. Early 2000s, Anna Klumsky and I Was a Teenage Werewolf remake.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
A lot of other people would too.
Sure. But I do remember that very distinctly. And I've watched that one as much as I can, considering its lack of availability on home media these days. But in the meantime, I've got The Werewolf to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and the nice thing about both of these films is that they are available to stream in many places.
And illegally.
Legally, right? Legally on Tubi and YouTube for free. Of course, you have ads, but both looked great, sounded great. Yeah, The Werewolf was, it was a first-time watch for me, and it was a huge surprise.
Yeah?
There was so much there that was new to me and was surprising. I loved the way that they took lycanthropy in a different direction, giving it an atomic touch. And I thought that worked really well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
No, and I was going to say, and Stephen Rich playing the werewolf just was a revelation. I don't remember ever seeing him before, and he gives such a great performance.
He got the angst down.
I can't remember having so much empathy or sympathy for someone who is struggling with the fact that he doesn't know what's happening to him. It almost seems like the way that this begins, it kind of reminded me, maybe it was influential on Wolverine being Logan. Because he wakes up in a mountain town, he doesn't know how he got there, he doesn't know who he is, and he's at a bar. It starts with him at a bar. He goes outside after getting changed, not taking his drink, and being followed out by someone who wants to rob him. And what does he do? He goes berserk. We don't see it. It's all off camera. Really well done. But he totally turns into an animal and kills the guy who's trying to rob him. Something about it just reminded me of X-Men.
I hadn't considered that. But given the origin of some of the Marvel characters, period.
Yeah.
The Hulk being a Jekyll and Hyde, as well as some other things. That's really interesting, dude. Something I hadn't even considered. Yeah, totally see that.
And Stephen Rich, I guess this is the only movie where he's the star. He's in a bunch of other things and did a lot of television in the 60s. But his turn in this is just really great. I said, I had a lot of sympathy and empathy for him. You really felt his angst and his suffering as he's trying to figure out what's going on with him. And to me, that was the emotional core of it. And eventually his wife and his kid who are missing him, trying to find him, come to the mountain town. And what's her name? Who played his wife? Eleanor Tannen has this scene where she's like pleading with him to come with her and the sheriff to get help with the doctor. It just felt emotionally anchored in a way that I did not expect in a 1950s creature feature.
For a low budget creature feature in particular, it really seemed to try real hard to put some emotional anchors around these characters for the kind of movie that it is. It could have been a cash grab. It could have been something like, hey, we've got some leftover film. We need to put out a double feature with this other one. Let's do something with it. No, they seem to really invest some real emotional weight in what's going on here, the relationships in particular. That's what I was saying earlier about the family relationship.
Right.
Between the werewolf, Stephen Rich's character, his character's son, and his character's wife. That's heavy stuff, man. That's heavy stuff for a creature feature.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that goes back to Fred F. Sears being an actor first and being a dialogue director first. Maybe he was an actor's director, even though they were working on tight schedules, tight budgets, because I feel like he got great performances out of everybody in both these films.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's one of those things where we've talked about a lot of movies made on a shoestring and in a week's time where everyone's doing their best, but you don't necessarily get the best performances as you're rushing through to try to get all your shots. But both of these movies, I think, hit above their weight as far as what the actors bring to the screen and the way that their performances are brought out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It does feel like it's delivering a lot more than what you're paying for sure.
And both of these casts are made up with a bunch of people who are all kind of known as being B picture talent. But I felt like they all really shined here. And you can see that given the opportunity, they could have been big stars. Who knows? Another thing that really surprised me about The Werewolf is how great it looks. I would not have guessed this is a B picture. The way that it's lit and shot, it just looks great. It has sort of a noir quality to it, a little bit of French expressionism. It was shot by Edward Linden, who was the cinematographer on the original King Kong.
Oh, okay.
Which was, again, a huge revelation. I did not expect there to be a connection to King Kong coming out of The Werewolf.
Well, since we're talking connections, go ahead, and I already mentioned it earlier. This has got a creature connection. I really need a little stinger or a theme song for the creature connection.
Yeah.
We used to do that years ago. Chris McMillan and I had a little spinoff where we talked about Creature from the Black Lagoon stuff and the creature cast among us, I think is what we called it. But yeah, the creature connection in this film. Don McGowan, the sheriff, played the above ground gill man in The Creature Walks Among Us.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Based on his stature, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can see that. Wow.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's got some big dude energy. I'd like to see more with him in or out of a rubber costume. I know that he did a lot of TV because a lot of them did back then, especially these potentially character actors or whatever. But yeah, I really liked him in this as the sheriff a lot.
We've seen him before in the creation of the humanoids.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he played Frankenstein's monster at one point for the abortive Tales of Frankenstein TV series thing.
Okay.
It was directed by Kurt Siodmak, who was one of the co-writers of Earth vs. the Flying Saucers. So it all connects.
Yeah.
But good stuff. I mean, he's really good. I liked him as the sheriff a lot. And this is the era of film where the law enforcement can still be trusted. And I really appreciated that. This is something that on next week's episode, you're going to hear me talk with Steve Turek about Billy the Kid versus Dracula and Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter. And
that's a good double feature. I'm looking forward to listening to that show.
Yeah. So the way and I'll give everybody a tease now. The way that's happening is we're doing Billy the Kid versus Dracula on Steve's show, the Diecast Movie Podcast, and then Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter on my show. So you can go back and forth to get both of them. But one thing that I talked about on his show is that how much I really liked the sheriff in that film too. I didn't realize how much I enjoy, and maybe I'm not going to go there with this podcast because I don't, but maybe there's a part of my brain that craves law enforcement that I can trust.
I think a lot of us are in that boat.
Yeah. So I really liked him as the sheriff in this.
Also, to that point, I really liked the relationship of Dr. Gilchrist and his assistant nurse, Amy Standish.
Yeah.
That's played by Ken Christie and Joyce Holden. They also gave me something that I didn't expect, because their compassion and their understanding as the medical experts in this movie really work well. I wish that Dr. Gilchrist was my doctor. He seems to listen and care about his patients, regardless of where they come from.
Yeah.
There was good small town energy in this movie too. He gave you that sense of it was a community, which I think works really well in creature features where you have an unknown threat in the community and you see how everyone reacts and works together and interacts. And this movie delivered on that too.
To set a story like this in a small town, I mean, it works for the story, but it also works for the budget. You have something like Earth versus the Flying Saucers, which is a great film. And even though we are not seeing like thousands of extras in the background or anything like that, it's a worldwide tale. We're told, and we see clips and we see footage and special effects shots of the flying saucers around the world doing stuff. It's versus the entire Earth, right? Something like this, it's set in a small town, so you don't need thousands, if not dozens of extras. You only need a handful of people. and it still works. I mean, it's smart filmmaking. It's efficient filmmaking. This wouldn't work if it was set in Chicago or New York, something like that. By having this small town feel and small town vibe, it elevates the people that we do see on screen and the story that we are being told. And I really appreciated that too. It's another reason why I like the movie Tarantula as much as I do. It's another small desert town that's being threatened by a monster. Monster of Piedras Blancas, small town on the coast threatened by a monster. It seems to work really well.
Yeah. This was all shot in California, San Bernardino National Forest, and the community of Big Bear Lake. And they definitely made the most of it. It's interesting how both movies are very different, but they really maximized value and where they were at. With Earth versus the Flying Saucers, I'd probably put it in the category of movies that best used stock footage.
Yes.
The fact that the whole movie's shot in Southern California, like the interiors of Skyhook and all that's shot inside a water treatment plant, looks great, has high production value. And yet we see the UFOs all over the earth, blowing up airplanes, blowing up ships. That was all stock footage, real footage of planes going down and ships being blown up from World War II. I don't know if you could get away with that now, knowing that probably servicemen gave their lives in those shots, and then to have them repurposed in a sci-fi flick. But man, Harryhausen made the most of that footage. And I'll go ahead.
Well, I was going to comment on that. The Ice Cube War of the Worlds film that Amazon put out, and I think it was produced during the pandemic. So most of it is Ice Cube watching security camera footage, basically. I understand. I haven't seen it. But I know in that film, they do use real world disaster footage to say the aliens did this, the aliens did that. And it comes across as exploitive and in very bad taste. And I don't know if I can apply that same kind of disdain toward a film like this that does use real world air footage.
Combat.
Yeah, combat and test planes that went down and things like that. I don't know. But it was different, I suppose, and by not addressing it, at least, it kind of disrespects those who lived through that history. So I'm glad you brought it up, is what I'm getting at.
Right. Yeah.
And the Ice Cube War of the World is terrible.
All I've heard is that Ice Cube's version is probably one of the worst movies ever made, and worst in a bad way. Not some movies that are considered the worst that we love. Yeah, it's not one I intend to see, though. I can tell you that.
But anyway, lots of stock footage. Yeah,
yes,
lots of stock footage.
Both movies maximized what they had.
Well, and then Earth versus the Flying Saucers got turned into stock footage. So many of those shots got used in later films, commercials even. You'd see that kind of stuff, and then filmmakers would be inspired by some of those shots and put them in their own films. Tim Burton, Mars Attacks.
Oh, yeah.
So, definitely used stock footage, became stock footage, and then inspired other films.
For sure. Yeah, I kind of forgot about the fact that a lot of other movies borrowed from Earth versus the Flying Saucers as far as using it as stock footage.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you how memorable those shots are.
But hey, if it's part of the Columbia Library and they can make a buck licensing that to some advertising company for a commercial or put it in another movie for something, go for it. Why not? I mean, again, not to peek too far ahead, but same thing happened with the movies that Steve and I talk about next week. Lots of stock footage, which adds instant production value. Suppose it would be harder to find stock footage to put in your little sleepy town has a werewolf problem movie.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. What do you know about the werewolf makeup effects?
Very little. This is the second time I've watched this movie, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. It's the lap dissolve. It's what we saw in the Lon Chaney films, which for my money works, man. I mean, that's just old school werewolf transformation 101. I'm cool with that. I like it. Do you have any information about the guy who did it or anything like that?
I was curious about that. I did read a little bit about him.
Clay Campbell, right?
Right. So Clay Campbell, I know, did a lot of mainstream Hollywood stuff, not creature stuff, right?
Okay.
I was really impressed with the look of the werewolf. I did not expect him to look as good as he did.
No, I thought the design was good.
Yeah. And you're right. The lap dissolves is kind of classic werewolf stuff, but No, I was really surprised at how well the makeup worked. Looking at Mr. Campbell's makeup credits, he has over 140 makeup department credits. He has a few genre things on there. You mentioned the TV show Tales of Frankenstein. He worked on that. But he did a lot of mainstream Hollywood stuff. 310 to Yuma. Let's see. What else stands out? The Kane Mutiny. Jesse James versus the Daltons. Oh, he did a Killer Ape movie. Killer Ape, 1953. I don't see any other werewolves on his list.
Well, he was uncredited in this film as well. But he also was the makeup guy on The Return of the Vampire from 1943.
I love that movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a wonderful film. And the werewolves look very similar.
Huh. Interesting.
Very, very similar in werewolf design.
Yeah.
So
I feel like a lot of the people involved in both these pictures, we all know Harryhausen, but there's a lot of other people on both sides of the camera that deserve their own fan clubs, I think. Some fandom.
Sure.
They definitely made a lot of stuff. Gives me a lot of other things that I now need to watch.
Well,
speaking of werewolf.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned people that worked on it, and I was going to play off the werewolf things. I don't know if you were going in the same place I was. Kurt Siodmak.
Yeah.
Kurt Siodmak, one of the writers of Earth versus the Flying Saucers, also basically the creator of the Americanized werewolf mythos with the Even a Man is Pure at Heart and Says His Prayers by Night poem written by him for Werewolf of London and then again for the Wolfman. Slightly changed a little bit for the Wolfman. But Kurt Siodmak and just Siodmak's in general being involved in genre cinema at that time. If we didn't have Kurt, we wouldn't have, I'm going to say it, the Universal Monster cycle that we have, because he did create one of the big three that we look at when we look at the trinity of classic monsters that came out of Hollywood. But you got Kurt Siodmak in there writing on that, working on that. So another werewolf connection to kind of bring it all together.
Yeah. Again, since the werewolf was a first-time watch for me, I was really surprised by it. I also found the two doctors behind experimenting and making Stephen Rich into a werewolf. I found them captivating characters in the sense that one sort of had a conscience and the other one didn't. And they're both trying to get rid of the werewolf before people realize that they had an involvement in this, especially now that there's been murder in the mountains. They had a really good dynamic to me.
I liked them, and I liked their motivation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about the other werewolf movie, one of the other werewolf movies released this year. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Why was he trying to turn Michael Landon into a werewolf? What was his beef with this high school student that he was trying to get all fuzzy? And what was the deal? And this one, in the werewolf, we have motivation. They make it pretty clear what's going on. And it was based on some real world fears, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those things where I said about this movie, 3/4 of it I love, and the other quarter kind of drives me nuts in not a good way. For them, I totally the idea that you're given the reasoning of all these atomic bombs, all this atomic energy being used on Earth, it's going to mutate everybody. And so we know this is coming. We know that all humans are eventually going to mutate into creatures. And we're just getting ahead of it to try to figure out what's going to happen. And so we pick this poor victim of an automobile accident as our guinea pig. And they have that scene where they're going back and forth about why they're doing it. And you have the classic 1950s lab where you have all these animals in the room in cages and the German Shepherd in the cage behind them barking and yelping as they're trying to explain what's going on. It seemed like a bit much, but the fact that they chose this poor guy who's trying to make a living and turn him into a werewolf to see what happens. And then, oh no, he escapes and he goes on a rampage.
Well, what did you think was going to happen?
Right? Yeah.
Are you surprised, sir?
I also love the fact that a lot of horror films, these two guys who did something against nature, they pay the ultimate price. Spoiler alert. Their finale, their final scene in the jail cell with the werewolf is great cinema. Yeah. The way it's lit, it's the sound effects, not seeing what's happening, but seeing the shadows of it all. to me, that was a standout moment.
What I really liked about this movie, and I think you're right. I think about 3/4 of it I really like, but there are some moments that do kind of let me down. We don't see the werewolf transformation right away. A lot of it's happening off screen. A lot of it is the reaction shot of somebody seeing it happen and their face kind of twisting into this, I don't believe what I'm seeing kind of look. And then we spend a lot of time seeing the guy in his werewolf makeup. And I guess I understand if you're going to spend money on something, especially on a low budget movie, you want to make sure it's on screen. But there are some moments towards the end of the movie again, where a lot of it is happening off screen and you're just kind of hearing it. And that's where it gets real chilling and very well done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish that they would have kept leaning into that. Just the story. I love the fact that at first everyone's trying to save this man. Even the sheriff's convinced that, okay, yeah, let's leave the rifles. Let's try to get him help. But after the two evil scientists go into his jail cell and get mauled to death, then all of a sudden the sheriff's like, oh no, we have to kill it. He's too big of a threat, so we have to kill it. And that instant switch, let's not investigate what happened here in the jail cell and why these two men came in and the why and the how of it. Let's just go out and hunt him now. And so the ending to me was a little unsatisfying.
Yeah.
I also feel like all of a sudden, maybe they're running out of time and money, but I feel like the last 10 minutes of the movie really fly by with a town full of villagers with torches running down the werewolf. And then once he runs into the woods, be like, oh, no, we'll come back later for him. And then they finish it all out in the daylight. It all looks good on the dam and everything. I just wish that last scene, there would have been another way than them just all of a sudden gunning him down. I found that deeply unsatisfying. I would have been fine with the fact that it wasn't the sheriff who fired on him, that maybe one of his other guys in the chaos and all the adrenaline accidentally shoots first or something, or they ended up fighting him and he accidentally falls off the dam and dies. I wanted something that was more satisfying to all the emotional buildup and drama we'd had getting to this point. That's one place where this movie kind of let me down, was in the end.
Okay. No, and that makes sense. I see where because it is, despite its low budget trappings and everything else going on, it's a really decent story. Emotionally, there's a lot going on here, and a bigger payoff would have been nice.
Yeah.
Just a bigger payoff of some sort. I don't know how you do that with the kind of resources they had, and it almost kind of felt like, well, runtime's over. Let's just wrap this up.
Bang, bang, bang. The end.
Yeah.
Especially since so much of it was so great in the way that it looked, the performances, the way it was written. Everything was great up until the end.
Yeah.
So as far as werewolf movies go, I definitely would consider this in the top tier for me. I really liked it.
Really?
Because of the things that I mentioned, but the ending was a letdown. That's the one place it takes a hit. I also think that we were talking about how this was a B picture to Earth versus the Flying Saucers. This one looks better than almost any B picture I can think of. As far as lighting, cinematography, performances, it does not feel like it should be the second act of a two-picture show to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it looks better than it has any right to. I would not have thought this is kind of the afterthought, the secondary. I wouldn't have thought that at all looking at this. I didn't know it the first time I watched it, and watching it now, knowing it, I don't see it. It feels like it can stand alone. It doesn't feel cheap. It looks really good. And I don't know if it's because it's been restored or remastered. I know there was a Sam Katzman box set put out not too long ago. I don't own it. I wish I did.
Yeah.
Because I do like Katzman. I would like to know more about the guy. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought B picture on this one at all. At all.
Yeah. Fred F. Sears, who directed both of these pictures, had another double feature of two of his movies released together in 1957. We mentioned The Giant Claw. It was co-released with The Night the World Exploded.
That's the best title ever.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know if
and
I've
also
seen that. I don't know if
Fred
I've
F.
seen
Sears, Brett F. Sears did the voiceover for both. He was the narrator for both of those movies too. Which is
Seems
really
like he
cool.
did. Seems like he did voiceovers for a lot of his own work.
Yeah.
Which, hey, saved
Better
some
than most
bucks.
directors' voices.
Well, there's that too, and you saved some money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he had a desire to be an actor. Why not at least use his voice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched The Night the World Exploded in a long time. It was a late night watch.
Yeah.
The only thing I really remember about it is Catherine Grant, who I always love. She's in it. Yeah, she's and also back to a Harryhausen connection. The reason I always remember her is because she was in The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Okay.
She's the princess.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite Harryhausen pictures. We could talk about that some other time.
No, it's a great film too. I feel like we've spent so much time talking about The Werewolf. We didn't really give Earth versus the Flying Saucer.
Well, let's go back to it. We can go back to it.
I mean,
this show isn't over yet, is it, folks?
No, not at all. And I'm sure we've talked about it here on the show in the past, in fact, because how can you not? It's Harryhausen, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at the archives right now, but I thought it was, like I said at the beginning of this, I really liked it. I would love to have spent more time with that scientist wife team, secretary team, whatever you want to call them. I was really taken by Hugh Marlowe's performance in this. I really liked him. I would put him up there with the John Agars of the world.
Oh, wow.
The Nick Adams of the world, even Hugh Beaumont, who did some scientific work. I really liked him in this. And he was actually in The Day They Were Stood Still as well. I mean,
that's right.
Record. So he was in that too. He did a lot of Westerns. He got that Western look, a lot of TV.
12 O'Clock High.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I really, really enjoyed his performance in this. I like the Richard Carlson-esque scientist as hero role. And again, I don't know if it's just because that's something I crave in the world is these days. I'd like to have that in my life, more scientist heroes than other types of heroes, I suppose.
There was something about him that kind of reminds me of Richard Carlson.
Yeah.
There's a toughness to him, but an intelligence. Oh, I see that he was also in The Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yep.
As Bainbridge Wells. That's an underrated movie. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying about Hugh Marlowe. I think in Earth versus the Flying Saucers, I do like how he seemed to have more dimension, and maybe because he's a newlywed in it and a wife that he cares about, than a lot of scientist heroes that we have in other 50s sci-fi films.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. I can see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Have you seen William Castle's 13 Frightened Girls?
No, I have not.
Now, it's not, despite the title, it's not a horror movie. It's more of a adventure kind of thing. It's basically a girls' school that gets wrapped up in a spy story. So you got a bunch of teenage girls who get wrapped up in a espionage kind of thing. One of the students ends up getting a crush on one of the intelligence agents working in London, and there's this communist plot they uncover and all that. But he appears in that as well as, I believe, the father of the main girl in the film. So he has this fatherly role in that I really liked. And Murray Hamilton from Jaws is in that one too.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
It's a fun movie. I've never talked about it on the show because it's not a monster movie or one of Castle's overly gimmicky movies. I don't know if it even had a gimmick, to be honest. I'd have to do some research on that. But it's fun. William Castle's non-gimmick or non-horror movies are kind of fun too. He did 6 or 7 Westerns. They're great.
And I watched a documentary about him. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, he's great. He did so many interesting things. And I think he had a lot of fun doing horror movies. But you could tell his love of cinema was broader than that. And I think he probably would have liked to have done a lot of different things, but he sort of was pigeonholed into what he was so successful at.
Yeah. For sure. Spine Tingler is a really good documentary about him. If that's not the one you've seen.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Mm-hmm. Great
really,
show. I recommend it to folks for sure.
Really, really good. But no,
another
I really
thing that
liked
was,
it. Yeah.
Another thing that stands out to me about Earth versus the Flying Saucer is the sound design.
Ooh, yes. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I know that I want to talk
about. That's another thing about this movie that I think really went beyond this picture to inspire others and other films that came after.
How do you mean?
As far as the way that sound effects were utilized for the spaceships, for the death ray,
or the
it
food
also
lights.
Yeah, the foo lights. So the way that they brought us aboard the ships with the look and the sound of the place. J.S. Westmoreland, who was a sound engineer, he's credited with doing the sound work on this.
Okay.
And I don't know that much about him, but I think he did a great job in this picture. Do you know much about it?
I don't, but I do like the way they communicate that the aliens have been trying to talk to us this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That they have
and how time works differently for them.
Yeah, how time works differently, which gets into you kind of forget that they're speaking in English, and they probably shouldn't be speaking in English when they bring in something like time differentials.
Yeah,
and I really liked that as well, and the way they stumbled across it too. Our batteries are running low when I play back the tape, and now suddenly I can hear them because the tape's running slower. I thought it was clever. That's smart.
Especially in the moment of watching it.
Yeah.
Thinking about it later, it may not hold up to your suspension of disbelief, but in the moment, it seems great. It seems like J.S. Westmoreland, also known as Josh Westmoreland, did a lot of films. He's got 187 sound department credits.
Okay.
Some of the things that might stand out to our fellow monster kids: The Night the World Exploded, The Giant Claw. So we're seeing that connection.
Okay.
To Katzman and to Sears. Let's see. Looking back, The Creature with the Atom Brain, Side-Mac connection.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have.
I love that one. So good.
It's good time. Let's see. Did a bunch of Westerns. Also was a part of The Killer Ape. I might have to go back and watch The Killer Ape. I've never seen that one. The Lost Planet. Did a bunch of Westerns. I don't see any other UFO flicks on here.
Killer Ape, 1953. Oh, that's a Tarzan flick. Well,
have you seen it?
I don't know if it's technically Tarzan. It's Johnny Westmiller who was Tarzan. So it could be Tarzan. It could be another one.
Oh, it's Jungle Jim. He's Jungle Jim here, folks.
Yep. Right on.
Yeah, I feel every time we talk movies and we touch on the people who made them, it's going down the rabbit hole for me.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, that's how it is for me too, man. It's this wonderful world of cinema that doesn't seem to ever want to end for us. It's one thing that I was worried about when it came to this podcast, that I was going to run out of classic monster movies to talk about, or classic movies, period, to talk about. And even though I am double dipping, sometimes even triple dipping now here on the show, there's a whole world of movies out there I haven't touched on. I haven't talked about any Tarzan flicks. I haven't talked about any of that stuff. I could do a whole month or two on Killer Ape movies, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And just haven't yet.
Well, I'm sure it's got to be a challenge for you, because the ones that you go back to and reflect on again, you love celebrating your favorites.
Sure.
And being sort of an evangelist for them, pleading with people to see them and appreciate them for how great they are. But yeah, there's always so many more movies you've never seen. The Werewolf, new to me.
Yes.
And I know that there's often you and I go back and forth on conversations of other movies that we'd love to talk about on the show, and maybe someday we'll get to them. Still pushing for Cyborg 2087.
Hey, we'll do it, man. We'll do it. It's got to happen, right?
Right.
Got to happen. It's all good stuff, though, man. It's so good. And I love talking about these double features, these weird little double features that we come across. That you come across. I mean, this is all driven by you, man.
Well, I wish that you and I could borrow the Doc's DeLorean and go back to the 1950s and catch some of these shows as drive-ins.
Homie, brother, man, that would be amazing.
I don't know if we have any listeners out there who saw these when they first rolled around, but I'd love to know what that experience was like.
Yeah.
What it was like to see these movies when they were new to you, in a drive-in, sitting in a Buick or an Oldsmobile, Mercury, enjoying the movie with your friends by the carload.
Oh, man.
Must have been something amazing.
Would have been a lot of fun. Listeners, if there's anybody out there who's had that experience, I would love to hear from you, sir. Or ma'am, whoever. I'll take it. It would be amazing. Anything else we want to say before we wrap up? I feel like we've kind of rambled for a bit. So what else you got? Anything?
Just if you haven't seen these movies, you owe it to yourselves to see them.
Beth says Happy Father's Day. Is there a Father's Day connection we can make to this, since it's going up right after Father's Day?
I'm sure there's some dads involved in both of these pictures.
I'm sure there are some dads involved. Okay.
Well, and Morgan Sankrum, he's the general, he's the dad in Earth versus the Flying Saucer.
There you go.
There's that dad connection.
Works for me. I'll take it. Anyway, yeah, check these movies out. I'm sure you've probably more people have probably seen Earth versus the Flying Saucer than the Werewolf. But I think the Werewolf, don't discount it because it's not a supernatural, spooky werewolf. It's a scientific werewolf, but boy, it's got a lot going for it. So don't discount it. Enjoy it. Have a good time. Keep in mind that sometimes our monsters have to evolve with the times to be relevant, and this one just happens to tap into that atomic fear that was happening in the world at the time, and it works so well. And I do think these two movies work really well as a double feature.
Oh, a wonderful time. Both of them, back to back. Absolutely. It's also great to have a werewolf that isn't tied to the full moon.
Yeah.
Atomic energy allowed him to run around in the daylight.
For sure. Matt, what else is going on with you, man? You got any movies you're going to be seeing at the Hollywood or anything like that coming up?
It's funny you bring that up. Yes, sir. As a Father's Day present, next Sunday, my kids are taking me to the Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon, to watch a Harryhausen classic in 35 millimeter. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Oh.
We're going to see it as a family. And a couple of my kids have never seen the movie, so it's bound to be a real surprise. Maybe we'll record a little snippet for you folks who are not there to share here on Monster Kid Radio.
Oh, man, I would love to hear that. Oh, man.
I wish you were there with us.
Dude, if I was in the area, I'd be there. I'd move heaven and earth to see that 35 millimeter even. Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to look good.
I've never seen it in a theater. I've only seen it on television. And I know that you and I have talked about this before, and we will again. Harryhausen's effects play on a whole different dimension when you get them on the big screen.
Yeah.
They come alive in a way that television, even giant screens of today in ultra high definition, don't give them justice. When you see that stuff on a big screen, it's a whole other world, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
This is happening next week, you said?
Yes, it's Sunday. Let's see. I think there are still tickets available if there are listeners out there that want to go catch this show. They usually sell out pretty well for things that are on film. But as far as I know, there are still tickets available. Let me give you everybody the show time. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms in 35 millimeter, Sunday, June 28th at 6:30.
I will make sure there is a link in the show notes to that.
Can you
if you're in the area, folks?
Can you think of a better way to celebrate 100 years of the historic Hollywood theater than watching Ray Harryhausen's dinosaur come alive and rampage? Come on.
Oh, can humanity stand together and survive this terrifying event? Go to the movie and find out. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, 35 millimeters, 6:30, June 28th, Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon. There will be a link in the show notes to that. And yeah, we'll have Matt on the show in the future. Hopefully he can tell us how that went. And yeah, we'll find another double feature to talk about in the future as well. Or let's just pull the trigger on it now. Next time, Cyborg 2087.
After Kai July.
Well, yeah, of course.
And in fact, I'm just thinking the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was a huge inspiration that helped make Godzilla. So I think that's a great way to kick off Kai July season by seeing the father of all that stuff, all those giant atomic monsters. Come watch it, folks.
You don't have to convince me, man.
All right, Cyborg 2087, everybody. We're going to do that. August.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now inside a time machine. We're about to take you 120 years into the future.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
In 3 seconds, you will be projected into the year 2087. The incredible becomes real as the time curtain is torn away to reveal the 21st century to your startled eyes in Cyborg 2087.
You are an agent from the world of the future.
Yes.
The whole thing's insane. Cyborgs, time capsules.
Doctor.
It's incredible.
But true, Dr. Zella. This hand has the strength of 5 like this.
You call that thing? Cyborg. Half human, half machine. Programmed to kill.
Incredible, you say? Impossible, you think? Who knows what lies ahead? You could find out when you enter the fantastic world of Cyborg 2087.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio. Big thanks to Matt for being part of the show this week. You know, Matt always comes in clutch. Whenever I need a guest, man, he has this uncanny ability to just send me a message out of the blue and we start talking about a movie and, hey, we've got the next episode lined up. So, Matt, thank you for doing that. And this has even happened with Kai July. Between the time that we recorded this very morning and now, he started chatting me and Jeff up because apparently there's another giant monster movie screening happening in Portland. The Academy Theater in Portland. Go to academytheaterpdx.com to find out more about this theater. It's a cool theater. It's a theater that I have a very, very fond memory of because it was the last time I saw Julie Adams and had a chance to interact with her when they brought in Creature from the Black Lagoon. But anyway, go to academytheaterpdx.com. Theater is spelled with an ER at the end. And check out what's happening on July 3rd. Godzilla versus Hedorah. Hedorah? You know what? It's Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. It's happening July 3rd, 6th, and 8th. 3 opportunities for you to have a chance to see this movie on the big screen. I know that Matt and Jeff are planning to go, and coincidentally, funnily enough, the other night, Beth and I were talking, and she made a comment about how I've been showing her all these kaiju movies, but for whatever reason, I really haven't given her a lot of Godzilla exposure. You know, we've been talking about Gamera, we've been talking about Mothra, been talking about Ultraman, but Godzilla, the king of the monsters, man. So I thought, why not? Why don't I show her Godzilla versus the Smog Monster? And coincidences exist, I guess, because that's the movie that's showing at the Academy Theater. I know Matt and Jeff are planning on going. I think we have an actual date for them. Let me double check. They are going on July 3rd at the 7 p.m. show. Matt and Jeff are going on July 3rd at the 7 p.m. show. So if you've ever wanted to meet Matt or Jeff of Monster Kid and Bride of Monster Kid radio fame, yeah, we'll say that. If you ever wanted to meet them, well, they're going to be there. They're kind of hard to miss. They're a couple of the guys that seem like they're having the most fun in any given room at any given time. And they're going to be watching a Godzilla movie. If you want to watch a Godzilla movie with them, well, you know where to go. And then I think the two of them and I and Beth are going to get together on Zoom and chat it up for an episode of Kai July next month coming up. So a couple of opportunities for you to see some giant monster movies with some Bride of Monster Kid Radio irregulars. Should be a good time. Matt, thanks for doing this. And of course, Mark, you are the man for doing the Beta Capsule review. I know you're a busy guy with your various podcast projects and everything else you got going on. I appreciate you taking the time to always send us an amazing Beta Capsule review. Keeping the Ultraman love going 24/7, all year round, not just in Kai July, but every month of the year here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And yeah, I definitely want to get that Ultraman 80 episode planned, dude. Let's make this happen. Dude? Anyway. You can find out more about Monster Kid Radio, Bride of Monster Kid Radio, Team Death, and everything else that we've got going on over at monsterkidradio.net. This is where you're going to find links to everything that we've talked about here on the show. I'll make sure there's links to the screening at the Hollywood for Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, as well as the screening for Godzilla versus Hedorah, whatever, over at the Academy Theater. I'm also going to make sure that I've posted the latest shirts that you can pick up from Death Designs. Now, I never did raise the price back up to $40, and I'm just going to leave them at $30 for now. I think we're going to leave them at $30 for a while, but that doesn't mean you should sleep on these. I've got some new designs that I've just put up in honor of the last episode that we did with Bela Lugosi. We've got a Murders in the Rue Morgue shirt, and hot off the press. Is that really how that works when it comes to shirts? I don't know. But I just designed an Earth versus the Flying Saucers tribute shirt as well. Now, these are men-style Hawaiian shirts. I would say they're pretty good for their sizing as long as you hang dry them. I rock a 5X, and I've never had an issue with any of my 5X Hawaiian shirts. They always get attention everywhere I go, and I'll make sure you can find them. Go to teamdeath.com and just click on the link that says Death Merchant. Or if you just want to skip all that, skip the line, go straight to deathdesigns.bigcartel.com. Death is spelled D-E-T-H. D-E for Derek, T-H for Beth. Every time you buy one of these shirts, well, it helps us out. It puts some money in our pockets, and we really appreciate you helping to support the show by sporting merch from, hopefully, one of your favorite shows. So go check that out. Again, link in the show notes. Another link in the show notes. We have that Amazon affiliate link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, please consider clicking on the Amazon affiliate button first, then fill your cart, then check out. That helps us out, takes a few pennies out of Jeff Bezos' pockets, put them into ours, and that really helps us out here at the show as well. The other way you can help the show is becoming a patron over at patreon.com/monsterkidradio. Now, here's the deal. You can follow us for free over there. You can become a free patron. And the reason you want to do that is because when I announce what's coming up on the next episode, this is the only place that I announce it online. Although in this week's episode, I did kind of let the cat out of the bag about what's coming up next week. But if you want to confirm what's coming up on next week's episode, you've got to follow us for free over on patreon.com/monsterkidradio. If you become a paying patron over there, you are going to get the exclusive content. I'm working on the next Monster Kid Radio remastered episode where I'm taking an episode from our past 13 plus years and cleaning up the audio, making it sound better because, you know, as a podcaster, and I think all of us as creatives know that we are continuously trying to get better at what we do. When I started Monster Kid Radio many, many moons ago when the world was young and dinosaurs roamed the earth, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And I'm not saying I know it all. I certainly don't. I'm always on that learning journey. But as I've learned more and the technology has improved, I've been able to make earlier episodes of the podcast sound better. And if you want to hear some of these earlier episodes remastered, become a paying patron over at patreon.com/monsterkidradio. That really helps us out. I'm also thinking that maybe later this summer, we're going to relaunch an exclusive Patreon newsletter for listeners of Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And I haven't forgotten, we're still going to start that Cyber Street team and create the Inner Sanctum for Monster Kid Radio, Bride of Monster Kid Radio, just Monster Kids in general, to kind of help promote the show and spread the word about the show. If you're on social media, if you're online, you can find us on Facebook. We have a page and a group. You can find us on X, and you can find us on Blue Sky. We have a Reddit we don't do as much with as we probably should, and we do have an account over at the Classic Horror Film Board. We don't do much over there either, but hey, if you do, spread the word. Let people know what you are into here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio. We really appreciate all of your support. You can always email us to let me know what you think of the show at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail. Call us at 360-524-2484. I want to give a special special note, I suppose, to somebody who sent me an email that just made me laugh. And maybe I don't really want to put them on blast here, but I did have somebody write in complimenting me on last week's episode, The Devil Bat with Dr. John DeGarmo, which, by the way, I had a grand time putting together. They sang the praises of that episode, and thought it was wonderful and they wanted to be involved in the show. And they had an idea on how to appear on the show. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was somebody who produces a podcast about keeping their home mold and pest free. And they reached out to me wanting to do an episode about the monsters inside the home, the hidden monsters, and thought maybe we could do a tie-in to what we do here on Monster Kid Radio. It was a weird email because the email started with this, really love what you do, really liked how you tied Bela Lugosi's career into everything, and very complimentary, and then quickly made it clear they have no idea what we do here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. So I got a good laugh out of it, if nothing else. I really appreciated that. If you would like to be on the show, though, and you have something that's relevant to what we do here on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Again, monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or call and leave me a voicemail at 360-524-2484. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Go With the Swell is copyright 2026. The band is Agent Flipper. It appears on their album Surf Music for Non-Swimmers. You can find them at agentflipper.bandcamp.com. Maybe you'll find them in Zurich, Switzerland. That's where they're based out of. Or you could just go to agentflipper.com or wherever you run into them. Let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Sarah Kim Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.